Hey everyone. So I wanted to talk about today kind of like pushing through uncomfortable moments in your life. Well, that makes it sounds like a lot more grand than it actually is, but specifically in studying in medicine and how that's kind of the differentiating moment or the differentiating factor, in my opinion, on people who do good and people who do great on tests, exams, and just in life in general. So why are we talking about this, right? So I was getting ready for we have Lux right? For medicine, it's like a test where we do clinical skills and clinical examinations. And for this year, we're doing like data interpretation. So this means that we'll have a bit of information. So perhaps we'll have information on like blood tests, informations on x-rays, information on various aspects that will allow us to kind of interpret what the disease is, how we want to fix it, and what's our plan of action, right? And this is obviously something not necessarily new, but it's a departure from what we've usually done. So obviously there's a bit of unknown, a bit of uncomfortability. Again, I'm making this word up, but you don't exactly know what to do. And I don't know what word to use, but I don't want to say shy, but I really cannot be bothered to like ask and go out and ask like upper year students kind of, how they studied for it. So I'm kind of in the dark. Now that's obviously my fault, but again, we'll roll with it, right? So there was like a package that the school, or not the school, but some students kind of put together so we can kind of study and see kind of the level. And immediately once I went into this package, now again, this is all stuff we've technically learned before, but if you're anything like me, the second you learn something and it's not on the test, it's out of your brain, right? So yeah, I was going through the package, I was writing it out, and I just had this terrible feeling because my exam is like in 2 weeks. Again, completely my fault. Didn't study from the start of the semester. So again, but it's in 2 weeks, and I'm like, I genuinely do not know what I'm doing. I don't know what the answer for these questions are, and I'm slightly panicking, right? But in another earlier video, I don't think I've posted it yet. I think I'll post it later. But oh wait, I think I posted it. That's besides the point. And in an earlier video, I encountered a similar situation where it was the fact that I had 2 weeks left and I was trying to study for this previous exam. And at some point I just snapped. I couldn't do it anymore. And I explained during that time that you needed your passion to kind of get you through. But I've kind of realized, yes, I've had a divine revelation in the past, what, 3 days? But I've realized that feeling of me being uncomfortable, that feeling of me not knowing what I'm doing is a very important feeling, and I should hold on to that. And that means I'm learning. What do I mean by this? Right? Say, for example, that you are learning how to ride a bike, right? You're learning how to ride a bike and it's your first time without the training wheels, right? You try to balance and you fall over. Is my question to you, a rhetorical question, unless if you want to talk to yourself, I don't mind, but rhetorical question, you falling off that bike, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I think, and this is my personal opinion, and well, personal opinion, this is backed by science, obviously, but that act of falling off the bike is probably the most important thing you can do in relationship to learning how to ride that bike, because you fall off that bike and you feel like, oh my God, that hurts so much. So what do I do different? This is what your brain is thinking. What do I do different such that I don't get that outcome? So maybe the next time you try to ride the bike, you shift your muscles a little bit. You kind of shift your position. You orient yourself. You grip the bar a bit harder, a bit less, and then you go maybe 5 seconds without falling off that bike, right? And then hey, you're starting to understand it, right? But you still fall off, right? But it's a little less. So your brain's like, hey, whatever we just did, whatever just happened, let's do more of that. And you continuously change and modify what you're doing such that you get the result that you want. Why is this important in medicine, right? And why is this important in being uncomfortable, right? That feeling of uncomfortability, right, is that stimulus in order for you to change, right? I feel like shit when I don't know what the answer is, right? Because I feel like I extrapolate. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna feel like this during the test. I'm not gonna answer any of these questions. I'm not gonna pass medicine. It's gonna be terrible. But if you just take away that entire failing part and you look at it for what it is, this is great. This is me feeling like this means I'm on the right track, because it means that I have a genuine stimulus, my body knows something is wrong. Therefore, my body does not like doing things it does not like to do. Eh, Like that sounds like a very obvious statement, but let's break that down, right? You get plunged into cold water, your body is doing everything it possibly can to get out of that situation, right? And it's trying to do it in the most efficient way possible, right? Now, for me, sometimes that's procrastination, right? I might procrastinate and I might not do the things I want to do. But if your body knows it cannot procrastinate, what's the easiest way of it getting out of that uncomfortable situation? Learning the content, right? Memorizing it so that when you answer it again, then it's a lot easier. You don't struggle because you know the answers. So the main thing I'm trying to say is that you feeling uncomfortable is a part of that process of learning, is a part of you becoming better, and ultimately a part of you becoming the person you want to be. So of course it's going to be difficult, right? And it was difficult for me, but something I found that helped me a lot, and something that I feel like could help a lot of people in medicine, and again any subject, is just reminding yourself constantly while you're working, before you work, and after you work, that this is normal. I'm gonna feel like shit, but it's part of the process. Just reminding yourself in whatever way. It's either writing it down, thinking about it, having like a picture that says, listen, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be difficult, but that is good, right? And not trying to turn away from that feeling, but kind of directing it face on. And it's interesting because the more you remind yourself, and then you realize, you kind of come back to this stuff later, and you have like a fresh pair of eyes. It's like, hey, this wasn't that bad. But you only get that luxury of looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes. You only get that luxury of feeling that, hey, this is not that bad once you've experienced it. Because if you don't experience it, you'll never get to that point. So that's really the essence of what I wanted to say. And just to recap, short video, obviously, but feeling uncomfortable, feeling like things aren't working is